This is a Bramble Jam podcast.
Welcome to Girls Gone Hallmark, a Hallmark review podcast. I'm Megan, and I'm a longtime Hallmark fan. Today, we are reviewing the season finale of season 2 of The Chicken Sisters, and I have the absolute pleasure of being joined for this episode by Patrick Serrano, host of the Lifetime Uncorked podcast, alongside Dan and Bran of Duck the Hallmark. Patrick, thank you for being here today.
Oh, yeah. So excited. You sent out the request for people to join, and I was like, I gotta get on this, because I had a ex-boyfriend text me like when Chicken Sisters started, and he was like, hey, I know you like Hallmark and you like chicken, so do you watch the show?
So did you watch the first season of this show when it was originally airing?
No. So here's the deal. I'm coming in cold to this. So I was like, I had them all recorded. I talked to my mom. I was like, Mom, you watched the first season. Should I do it? And she's like, oh, yeah, you should watch it. And I just haven't had time. They're all sitting in my queue. And I was like,
Totally
you know
understood.
what? I'm not going to binge it. I'm just going to jump in, watch the finale, and take it as a finale, possibly a series finale. Well, we don't know yet.
We don't know.
So, yeah, I'm coming in like your friend who just happened to come over while this was on and watch it.
Kind of like when my husband is a big fan of Days of Our Lives, and I haven't watched that show since I was in high school. So I walk in and I'm like, wait, what's going on with, and he's like, you can't, he's like, you either need to watch it every day or not at all. So yes, I'm very familiar with being that person. So a little bit more about you before we talk The Chicken Sisters. I mean, you talk Lifetime regularly. How'd you get into that Lifetime reviewing life?
Oh, goodness. I mean, it's been like since birth, probably.
Yeah.
Coming home from school, watching the little tawdry after school special, type of
Cheerleader
movies.
murder type specials.
Cheerleader murder, yeah. All the cautionary teen tales like don't be homeless and go to Harvard, or don't be 15 and get pregnant.
Yeah.
Yes. So, long time Lifetime watcher, and then I was in Chicago working in storefront theater, running with my friends, and we decided not to renew the lease on the building. We were like, okay, we've done the thing. So my friend Drew took all the recording equipment because we weren't going to do anything with it, and he started a podcast network. And he's like, you watch those Christmas movies, right? Because I was writing like little on Facebook when Facebook was a thing.
Yeah.
I was writing like mini like jokey synopses about, I don't even remember. This was probably like 2016.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then, so we started a podcast there. I was on his network, and then the boys found me, or they started their podcast. They reached out and they were like, hey, you know about podcasts and you're talking about the movies we want to talk about. How do we do that? I was like, who are these people? They're so crazy.
Yeah.
Then they blew up, and then they were like, hey, come along the ride with me. And I was like, okay.
That's so fun.
That's it, really.
Well, we, of course, will leave links in our show notes, but you can listen to Patrick on the Lifetime Uncorked podcast, Hallmark adjacent over there. A little more salacious usually, though.
Usually, yeah. And I only do the Hallmark Christmas ones because you got to watch the Christmas ones.
Sure.
But I do Lifetime Murder all year round.
All year round. I love it. I will say Murder is more Wendy's vibe than Hallmark Christmas, so she'd be all in on that.
Yeah, they're Lifetime's a little crazy with they're really into the true crime right now. True crime is like their bread and butter.
Ripped from the headlines situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that gets tricky to talk about because you're like, this really happened. I don't know about this.
Talk about it respectfully without. Yeah.
And now, which is great, they have the people that are actually like involved. Like Honey Boo Boo was like narrating the Honey Boo Boo story.
Oh, interesting. That's nice. At least they're doing.
They just did a Courtney Stodden one where Courtney Stodden kind of got to reframe her marriage and like all that crazy stuff with her like being a minor and like how that was problematic. And you're like, yeah, it was. But at the time, it was very salacious and everybody wanted to talk about it. But she was like, yeah, not
this
cool.
This was my life.
Yeah, this is my life.
Wow.
She just wanted to sing. She just wanted to be a singer.
we're going to get into the Chicken Sisters season, hopefully not series finale, because we are left on a cliffhanger. But
big cliffhanger.
I know. So we're going to kick it off, and tell me what your first impression of this episode was.
Okay, so I listened to Alonzo's episode before coming on so I could get the kind of gist of how the podcast worked and what happened in the episode before, because I was like, I at least need to know. Sounds like there was a big storm, so we're getting like the aftermath of that. And it didn't really look as like storm tattered as I thought it was going to in my imagination. When you guys were describing it, I was picturing, I don't know what I was picturing, but I guess my imagination ran wild on that. But this was a very Hallmark version of a tornado.
Right. Really, only that Mimi's restaurant was destroyed and everything else remains standing.
Yeah. So, you know, my first impressions were like trying to figure out who people were and everything. And I, you know, quickly figured out, you know, Wendy Malick is like the matriarch. And then there's her daughter and then her daughter's daughters and then the daughter's daughters. So that's where the sisters thing come in and got all that. But my question to you is, why is everyone so mean to Frank Jr.? What did he do?
Oh my goodness, Patrick, how much time do you have?
I was like, everybody is so mean to this man.
Up until this episode, I have been saying all love to James Cott, but Frank Jr. is the worst, the worst. Season 1, he was a terrible husband to Amanda. And the whole premise of season 1 is there's this kitchen clash series, and it's the two rival restaurants fighting against each other. And Frank ultimately betrays them in the end. And this season has been kind of about the women reclaiming their lives from the men. And Frank Jr.'s continued to be kind of terrible throughout. And I've been saying all along, I don't want a Frank Jr. redemption story, because I could feel like that's where we were going. I'm like, I don't want it. I think I'm going to surprise some people today, because I was pretty impressed with how it was handled, because I was ready to just see Frank Jr. right off into the sunset. But
okay,
we'll talk a little bit more about him.
And he's the guy who was in the chicken shop, or one of the chicken places, the one that didn't get taken down by the storm, with the recipe, right? That was him?
That's him, yeah. So that's part of the split at the end of season 1 is this dude bro podcaster, Christian, kind of comes in and brings Frank under his wing to open this big franchise, which is terrible.
I saw they had the powdered gravy in the background.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, that's the bad place. That's the bad chicken place.
Exactly. And Frank infuses it with what he knows, having worked in a chicken restaurant that's actually good his entire life. And now Christian wants to take that recipe from him, and Frank obviously does not give him the real deal. He
put in some fake ingredients.
Indeed. So I gotta say, as far as first impressions for me, I really feel like this episode tied this season up with such a nice bow. I do have a couple little wishes about things that I had hoped would happen, but for the most part, so much of what we were hoping for came to fruition in this episode. And we should start with Frank Jr.'s turnaround. So you, as a watcher, saw coming in brand new, kind of the surprise on people's face over and over again when Frank Jr. kind of would come in kindly, and they were like, what's happening here? What's going on here? I can't, and I think, did it come off as like distrust when you were watching that?
It seemed to me like he obviously did something like really bad, and because like the narrator was dogging on him, like everybody was like, man, he sucks. But then his actions were like totally going against that. So for me, I was like, oh, he seems not that bad. He seems like a nice guy. But yeah.
I think they did a great job with his story. And the thing that I really like, again, I've been saying I don't want it. The one reason, and Alonzo touched on this last week, the one reason I did want it is he has a daughter, and you want that harmony. You want him to be a good person for her, at least. If none of these other women, his mother was still trying really hard to have a relationship with him. And so I think he did take accountability and own up for the stuff that he did and actually apologize, and then took it a step farther and built that big improbable arch for the wedding.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and like when he was with Sergio too, like how he was like being cool with that, and like he could tell like Amanda and Sergio were getting together, and he was like, not encouraging it, but he was like trying to get to know him a little bit.
Yeah, certainly not stopping it. I mean, he calls him bro. The look on Sergio's face is my favorite in that moment. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate the writing team here making me believe in this redemption and not just feeling like it was something we had to do to check a box. So that's my biggest moment. What are some things you liked about this episode?
So I was so happy that it was the wedding episode because I love a wedding. It was funny to me that, tornado comes through the town bands together not to fix the town, but to put on the wedding.
Of course.
So that was that was great. I was like, man, this town has their priorities in check. They're not going to let this chicken sister not have her wedding. And it was like so... like the decor was so beautiful and like everything was so... I kind of think like a mismatched like tablescape is so cool. Like I loved how they were just like pulling on. It must be because they were pulling all the random things out of everyone's houses, right?
Yeah, but
it wasn't like the plan.
No, definitely not the plan. They had this big, beautiful setup. It was blown over by the tornado. It just felt so much more personal. Like this felt like the way it always should have been in this town.
Yeah, so I loved that, and I loved the archway that you mentioned with the purple flowers. So beautiful. The wedding could have been longer for me. I could have had like most of the episode be the wedding, but that's okay. We had things to get to. I understand, but I was like so happy for the wedding to be the episode that I was doing. And oh my gosh, being ordained online, so funny. That was hilarious. Where they're like, is this really this easy? And you're like, yeah, it actually is.
It was great. There's a really interesting scene in this movie. It's the morning after the slumber party, the breakfast. And the breakfast scene is filmed in a single shot. And it's really well choreographed. And they go through the entire kitchen and all the characters are there. And I actually rewound to see because I was like, were there any cuts? No, like straight through the kitchen. And I just like the thought and choreography that is put into that moment to make sure all the pieces come together and everyone's passing the dishes. It was a little bit of a departure from the kind of cinematography we see in the show, and I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, it's almost like a play when you do like a long shot like that because everybody has to be like hitting exactly where they need to be, and like you just rehearse it a bunch and then you kind of do it, and yeah, it's a really cool effect. So that's exciting that Hallmark is experimenting with different types of camera work, and speaks well of the directors too that they're being backed up to take the time to do that because it's not easy.
No, I agree. And I think the writing team on this show is really interesting. I don't know if you know, but it's a completely different showrunner from season 1 to season 2. And season 2, the showrunner is Erin Gibson, who is a comedy podcaster. She has a highly successful podcast turned into a TV show. And a lot of the writers are big in the comedy world as well. And so I think they've really been trying to do something really different with this show. It's definitely different from the standard Hallmark stable of writers. And so I think this show, I don't think does very well on Hallmark, unfortunately, because I think it's interesting and I think they're trying new things, and I kind of wish more people would give it a chance. Especially, Wendy's not here because Wendy did not enjoy this show. And so I said, let's try something different. But I texted her last night. I was like, the finale is genuinely so good, especially because she had watched all of the first season. I said, I think you should give it a watch.
Give it a chance. I love that the comedy people are coming in because, comedy like takes a lot of work and, it seems like so off the cuff, but it's actually so like precise. That wedding planner, when she walks up on the wedding site and just like screams bloody murder, was hilarious. I like rewound that 3 times because I was like, is this really happening? This is great.
Yeah, Rakia Bernard is such a gem. I love her as Sabrina in the show.
So funny.
One of the small threads I love is Gruster, who is her romantic interest. He was in season 1. There was kind of a flirtation, and he only has been back for 1 episode of season 2. But I love that we see like it's hinted. We didn't see them in the tornado episode. He came back the episode before that, and Alonzo and I were thinking, like, what happened with Sabrina and Gruster? It kind of hints that maybe they were sheltering in place together or something is going on there. He calls her sweetheart. It was a nice little moment. Nice to see them close the loop on that a little bit, give us some closure knowing that maybe they'll have something going forward.
Oh, I was definitely shipping them. I was into that for sure. And the teenage daughter also being like, oh, Mom, what's happening here? I like that relationship with the mom and the teenage daughter to like talk about like, oh, you have a hot boyfriend, Mom. Like that's great.
Both moms have that moment with their daughters, and the daughters I like are both fully supportive and on board with these new relationships.
That's awesome. Like to be able to have that type of conversation with your teenage, mother-daughter, that's great.
Yeah, I loved that. And as the mother of a teenager, I can only dream that we have that sort of relationship.
Aw, yes.
A couple other things that I think are worth pointing out in this episode. We get closure on the train finally stopping in town. This is something we were revisiting every single episode. Two things. The broken train arm was a cause of conflict throughout the entire season, and they do finally get it fixed, all thanks to Nancy finding her voice. And then the very end of the episode, we learn the train is stopping in Merinac. The train has not stopped in Merinac for many, many years. And Alonzo, I hope he appreciated this moment, because he was saying last week, we have this kitchen clash exposure, and so they were hoping this was going to bring all these new people to town. It was going to be so great for their restaurants, and we didn't really see that come to fruition, and now we finally get that right in the closing moments of this episode. So it's all coming together.
That's when all the French people came into the restaurant.
Exactly, yeah. Amanda walks
happening?
out, and she sees this huge line of people because the train finally stops in town.
Got it. Okay, cool.
I had also suspected that Nancy was going to run for mayor, and she is. I feel very proud of myself for guessing that one. That's going to be great for season 3 if we get it.
Right.
And then Nancy,
Who would be her rival? Who would be her rival mayor candidate?
Well, the current mayor, probably, who's played by Lachlan Monroe, who you probably know because he's been in a billion things. You definitely recognize his face. Mm-hmm. But he kind of fell down on the job this season, and so she had to step in, and so hopefully she boots him on out of there. A big vibe of this season has been these women finding their voice and stepping into their power. So it's definitely a matriarchy, as you mentioned. And finally, Nancy and Gus, former rivals, now best friends, both on their first flight ever together, traveling to Italy. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I want to see that show. Can we get like a summer in Italy?
Yeah, right? I'm envisioning it like Real Housewives style. What's the one where they go to Crappy Lake? That's the one I was envisioning.
Nice.
Are you a Bravo watcher?
I'm not a Bravo watcher, but sometimes I watch Andy Cohen on the late night.
Oh, yeah.
I like the celebrity interviews, you know. I want to be one of those, the bar boys, whatever those boys are called.
Me too.
Yeah, let's do it together.
Bartender, that would be so fun.
We'll do it together. You pour the drinks and I'll like prep the ice or something.
Perfect. I mean, I don't have any idea how to make most cocktails, but we'll have a good time back there.
Right.
All right. Anything else you liked about this episode?
Yeah, it was just good vibes. Like even the stuff that was more not spooky, but you know. Like the recipe stuff could have been like I was feeling a little tension there. I was like, oh no, is he gonna give away the recipe? Like it was kind of stressing me out. Yeah. And then I saw him put the fake ingredients. I was like, okay, he's cool. Yeah, it was good. I thought it was a good season finale.
And the vows, I have to say, the vows are very sweet, very touching. May really has been struggling with, the men in this town leave. And she's like, that's the Mimi's curse. Like the men always leave. And she, last episode, if you heard Alonzo and I talk about it, she was like, I think that's me. I think I'm going to be the one who runs. And so seeing them have this great moment, I feel like she and Jay are absolutely meant to be together. So I thought their vows were beautiful.
I wanted to talk about her dress, but I think I'll wait for the...
yes. Let's talk about her dress.
Yeah, that dress, the yellow, like that was passed down from her... That's her grandma, right?
That's her mom.
Oh, her mom. Mm-hmm. So that the dress like was so modern. I was like, we're doing sleeveless in like, the 70s. That's a little ahead of the curve. So very trendy.
I also wondered, it looked like, because Gus had held it up earlier, and I was like, is that the same dress, because I was like, did they have time to alter the sleeves? I felt like it wasn't exactly the same dress. They just
okay, maybe they did.
Yeah, let's pretend like it's exactly the same dress.
Right, because the cut of the dress was more. I mean, it could have been 80s, I guess.
Sure,
but I'm like in the 70s, they were not doing sleeveless. They had those big floppy hats, you know.
Exactly.
They had like the silk sleeves. Yeah,
well,
I thought it was a pretty dress.
I thought it was a pretty
dress,
dress
and not
too.
white.
And not white. Yeah, she has, she's from New York. She's very, like, when season 1, her New York apartment is sleek and beautiful. And so that's kind of the vibe of the original wedding. That's kind of the vibe of her original wedding dress. I hated, and this will transition into our wishes, when Amanda puts her hair up into that bun. I'm fine with a bun. It was terrible. I mean, it was like something I would do as I'm sitting here working. I was like, please give her a better wedding day hairstyle. So I was thrilled when she steps out of that car. She's in the yellow dress, and her hair, I mean, it looked like her.
Yeah. That's what you want on your wedding day. You want to look like yourself.
Exactly. You want to look like yourself. Yeah, I was like, that bun is tragic. Get that off of her head. Did you have any wishes as you were watching this episode?
Well, of course, I wish for more shirtless hunks in any TV movie. We didn't get any of those.
No.
And how we could have worked that in. Maybe we could have had like the groom's room where the grooms are getting ready.
Exactly.
But we didn't really get like, again, the wedding was like very fast. So we had other things to work on. I understand. We could have had Frank Jr. climbing the tree with no shirt on.
Right? I mean, give us a little James Scott shirtless action. I'll take it.
Right. Those were my things. And then, no, otherwise, like, I think that. Wait, what was the question?
Any things you wished for in this episode?
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it.
I have two really big wishes. One, Jake Foy was a staple in this series in season 1. He does not come back as Kenneth in season 2. I had hoped that he'd come back for the wedding. At the beginning of the season, it's set up by his husband that he's out of town because his sister just had a baby and he'll be gone for a couple weeks. And so in my mind, I'm like, I'm sure he's off doing another project, right? But they're surely going to bring him back for the finale. He's one of May's best friends from their childhood. And the fact that he wasn't there, he was very missed. We see Patrick in the background in some of the setup scenes, but he's not even really highlighted in the wedding, and Kenneth doesn't make it back. Jake Foy, you were missed?
Yeah, I mean, if you're the best friend from childhood, you gotta be there.
Right? And the other storyline, now this is something you wouldn't have picked up on in this episode, but Frankie, who's the daughter of Amanda and Frank Jr., and Lindsay, who is Sabrina's daughter, there has been some hinting at some romantic tension between these two. They've never acknowledged it. I think there are some people who don't believe that it's there, but I am shipping these two big time. They are moving to New York together. I do think it's completely wild that Amanda says, text me when you find an apartment in New York. Her child, who's never left the town of Merinac, is supposed to go off to New York as an 18-year-old and figure out the New York apartment scene. Seems wild to me. But text me when you find an apartment. But they're going to live together. So that sets us up for, some future storylines. If we get a season 3, I would have liked a little bit of a moment that hints at we're heading somewhere with these two. We didn't get it. I don't know if they're moving away from it. They're playing it real safe, but I still am shipping Lindsay and Frankie.
Okay, well, that's interesting that it was even there to consider.
Yes, I fully believe there. I mean, I need someone on TikTok to create a compilation of those moments between the two of them, set to some dramatic Taylor Swift song, please.
Right. And you really do find yourself in college. Like, that's when you're like, questioning thing, and that's what college is for. So, not just with your sexuality, like with everything. So it seems like a natural progression for them to explore that. That would be fun.
Yeah, we shall see. Well, it's time for any did you see that moments that made you say, what is happening here? Or something you loved. Hit me.
Okay, so we had a really nice wedding montage that I liked a lot. That was really fun. When they were searching like the wreckage of the chicken hut. What is that? What it's called?
Mimi's, yeah.
Yeah, Mimi's. When they did the thing with the flowers and they handed the flower around, they said like one thing they were thankful for. That was very nice.
That was very nice.
I like that, and I was like, is this Thanksgiving? Why are we doing this? But
yeah.
I guess they needed to get out their feelings about growing up there, and some good writing in character. Like they really thought back to like these characters like being growing up in that environment.
For
so
sure.
yeah, I really felt that. And then, well, we have to talk about the tree. The climb of the tree.
The tree. Can you believe they made Frank Jr., after all of that, fall out of that tree?
No.
It's highly dramatic. I mean, kind of love it.
He pulled out that big ladder. That was like a fireman's ladder, wasn't it? It was huge.
Well, I was like, what are we doing trimming this tree? Like, call somebody. And don't get on a ladder like that by yourself, Frank Jr.
No, somebody has to hold the bottom and...
Right?
He had that hook saw that was like out of a horror movie. I don't even know. I've never even seen that tool before.
It was like Clark Griswold hanging Christmas lights. I was like, this is not going to end well as soon as I saw that ladder.
Yeah. And like, he's for sure dead, right? He's dead.
I don't know. It seems...
They left it open. But...
They certainly left it open, and it's funny because, again, I was saying I don't want a Frank Jr. redemption story, and then after this I was like, okay, I'm okay with Frank Jr. being around, and just when they made me like him, they're going to rip him away from us, maybe. I'm going to need to see
what could happen with him next? I mean...
It's true. Yeah, he's served his purpose.
Yikes.
Written off the show. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get the shot of like the body, like the crime scene body. So there's hope.
Yeah, we get a call from the hospital, not the medical examiner. So I guess that's better.
True. Yeah. Oh, that's very true.
My biggest digit to that moment, Shauna, our girl Shauna, played by Caitlin Howden, one of my absolute favorites. Speaking of comedy, I mean, Caitlin Howden does a bunch of improv. She has a comedy podcast. She's a delight on this show. When she bursts into Mimi's in tears, it was great. But my favorite is the big reveal that she's secretly the author of the smut series Queen of the Cowboys. This has been a series that's made an appearance throughout this season. Everyone's reading, these smutty cowboy books, and the fact that this is the spicy novel that she has secretly published under a pen name. Shauna is kind of a jack of all trades. She's a Renaissance woman. She's the one responsible for the Chicken Sisters franchise. And so, of course, she's got a connection that's going to help Amanda publish her book the way that she wants to do it. Loved it. I thought that reveal was pitch perfect. She's like, I'm a hit on Book Talk. Loved it.
Oh, and that Chicken Sister book was so cute with the Chicken Sisters being chickens with the hair. Oh, my God. I loved it.
So cute. Yeah, finally coming to fruition. We get, Amanda's finally getting to express herself. This has been a long-running storyline. She's had this kind of like artistic side hustle that's never really been just side, no hustle. And so getting to publish that is real great. I love those little chickens.
I really would I would buy that book.
Totally. Me too. I was like, it looks like a Calvin and Hobbes. Like they even published it. I'm like, that's what a comic book looks like. Great.
Yeah.
Well, is there a character who you really loved in this episode who stood out to you?
So aside from the main characters, there's the guy who comes in from the city and is so rude. I love that guy. That guy was hilarious. He was very, very rude though. Incredibly city, your typical city person coming into the country.
I'm talking the publisher. Yes.
Yeah, the publisher. I've seen him in some other Lifetime movies. He's a Canadian actor, I guess, and he's always playing these type of big jerk
big city
characters.
Guys, yeah.
Yeah. So I loved him coming in and just her name's Amanda, right? The cartoonist. And she's like, actually, no, that's not how I'm going to roll around here. We're not doing this book with you. So they set it up really good. So he was really fun for me to watch, and then see her play off of him and be like, ah. And then you see that she's like, yes, a strong woman, a business owner, taking her creative passion and turning it into a business. That's hard to do. So, and people always want to tell you what to do when you're a creative coming to the business
Right, like you couldn't
world.
possibly understand creativity and business at the same time.
Right, yeah.
That scene's so funny because his female coworker is like trying to put the brakes on and trying to cover for him and trying to and just completely fails because she had gotten the balls rolling with Amanda in a previous episode, and then this guy comes in and just fully tanks the deal. It was
Totally.
kind of funny to watch. And
It
she's
was.
like, he can be a little bit gruff. I was like, you hate him. Just go ahead and say it because he's the
Right.
worst, too.
That's okay. Maybe you should find a new business partner. After that, I'm sure they had a talk on the plane ride back, and they were like, this isn't going to work out.
I kind of like because this show has had no shortage of terrible men. And so I like that right on the heels of the Frank Jr. redemption, we kind of replaced him with this guy. I appreciated that. We're not done with terrible men in Merinac.
Yeah, very interesting kind of POV like the show has. So it's something you don't see often. So I think it's really actually refreshing to see that kind of like writing and just like the perceptive of like how men can be just the worst when they don't even realize that they're doing it. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was very interesting.
This is going to shock everyone. I mean, maybe not after listening to this episode, but my feathered friend of the week is Frank freaking Jr. Look, I was willing to accept that he was going to move on at the end of this season. But now that he may actually be moving on, I'm really going to miss him because I think James Cott played this episode with a ton of warmth and believability and sincerity. And I was very interested in seeing the ways in which he finally stepped up. And on a side note, the only reason I really wanted his redemption was for his daughter. And you could see in some of those scenes where he's connecting with his former mother-in-law and his mom and his ex-wife, how important that is to her just standing in the background. So hats off to Frank Jr.
Yeah. R.I.P. maybe.
I know. Oh,
maybe.
no.
We don't know. Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
What does a feathered friend, where does that saying come from? I've never
We just
heard that
made
before.
it up simply because
Oh,
it's a
really?
show about the chicken sisters. Yeah.
That is so funny.
Just
I was
trying
like,
to be punny.
I'm like, this saying, I've never heard this. I wonder what the origin of this, how did this come to be?
Yeah, we were just, chicken puns abound.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe it's a Southern thing that I'm not aware of.
No.
And
Just a weird Girls Gone Hallmark thing.
I love it. You guys are so creative. And yes, that is such a Girls Gone Hallmark thing for sure.
Thank you
We
so
love
much.
alliteration.
That's right. That's right. Having fun is allowed. Well, Patrick, this has been so much fun. Can you tell our listeners the best places to find you outside of this episode?
Oh, yeah. So you can follow me. Patrick Miguel is my personal social media, or Lifetime Uncorked is if you want to follow Lifetime things.
And you should.
And you should, but if you don't care about Lifetime or you don't have time for Lifetime, I understand. I also have a website, lifetimeuncorked.com, where you can read my reviews, typos and all. Sorry about that. I have Grammarly now, so that helps a little bit.
Fun.
But yeah, I don't have a proofreader, so it's all just whatever I'm writing in the moment. And I will be doing the Christmas movies, so that's exciting, the Hallmark and the Lifetime.
Oh, no.
Lifetime hasn't announced any of their Christmas, and they probably won't until December. They're very on the fly. I had a friend of mine, Michael Dvorzan. He's a writer and he knows Oprah, so I try to keep on his good side. I'm like, oh, you're friends with Oprah. The movie came out on Friday, and he messaged me on Tuesday and was like, hey, I just got word that this movie's coming out. Can we do an interview or something really quick? And I was like, no, I don't have time to do that. That's crazy. You just found out your movie's being released 3 days before it comes out. Yeah, incredible. But yeah, I'm around. So if you want to hang out, let me know. If you know any single men, I'm single and ready to mingle.
Hey, well, we're going to link all of the places you can find Patrick in our show notes. Be sure to be in touch if you know anybody Thank you for listening to this episode of Girls Gone Hallmark, a Bramble Jam podcast. If you love this podcast, we love your 5-star ratings and reviews. You can leave them right in the podcast app you're listening to us in right now. We'll be back next time with more Hallmark reviews. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right, friends, before we go, just a quick heads up. You're about to hear some ads. These little gems help us keep the show running and the Hallmark love flowing. So do with that info what you will. Grab a snack, hit the skip button, or maybe, just maybe, listen in and discover your new favorite product. Bye.